Hello basketball fans, welcome back to our channel where we explore the captivating world of the NBA. Today we have an intriguing topic to discuss, one that sheds light on the less glamorous side of the game. We're going to take a look at some NBA players who have found themselves on the wrong side of the law. Here are the top 10 NBA players who got arrested. At number 10, we have Kobe Bryant. Bryant was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault. He was later acquitted of all charges. The arrest was made after a 19-year-old hotel employee accused Bryant of raping her in his room at the Lodge and Spa at Cordillera in Edwards, Colorado. Bryant was released on $25,000 bond and denied the allegations. The case was eventually dropped after the accuser refused to testify. Bryant later settled a civil lawsuit with the accuser for an undisclosed amount. The arrest was a major scandal in the NBA and tarnished Bryant's reputation. However, he was never convicted of any crime and went on to have a Hall of Fame career. Moving on at number 9, Reuben Patterson. Reuben Patterson was arrested twice in his NBA career. The first time was in 1999 on charges of domestic violence and sexual assault. He was later convicted of domestic violence and sentenced to 60 days in jail. The second time was in the year 2000 on charges of attempted rape. He entered an Alford plea, which means he did not admit guilt but agreed there was enough evidence to convict him. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail, but 15 days were suspended. Patterson was also arrested in 2021 on charges of healthcare fraud. He was one of 18 former NBA players charged with defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan out of nearly $4 million. Patterson's arrests have had a significant impact on his career. He was suspended by the NBA for 30 games after his first arrest, and his reputation was tarnished. He was also traded from Portland Trail Blazers to the Seattle Supersonics after his second arrest. At number 8 is Charles Smith, a former Boston Celtics player who was arrested in March 1991 on charges of vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of the crime. He was accused of hitting and killing 2 Boston University students in a hit-and-run accident. Smith was released on bail and pleaded not guilty to the charges. He was eventually convicted of vehicular homicide and sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. He served 3 years of his sentence and was released in 1994. Smith's arrest and conviction were a major setback in his life. He lost his career, freedom, and reputation. He is now a cautionary tale about the dangers of drunk driving. At the 7th spot is Javaris Crittenton, a former NBA player who was arrested in 2011 on charges of involuntary manslaughter and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He was accused of shooting and killing Julian Jones, a 22-year-old mother of 4, in an Atlanta nightclub. Crittenton pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter in 2015 and was sentenced to 23 years in prison and was released on parole in 2023. Crittenton was a promising basketball player who had a brief career in the NBA. He was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2007 and played for the Washington Wizards and Memphis Grizzlies. Crittenton's arrest and conviction were a major setback in his life. He lost his career, freedom, and reputation. He is now a cautionary tale about the dangers of gun violence and the importance of making good choices. 6th spot is Eddie Johnson, an NBA player who was arrested multiple times throughout his life. He was a 2-time All-Star who played for the Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Seattle Supersonics. Johnson's first arrest was in 1980 when he was charged with cocaine possession. He was later arrested for burglary, assault, and resisting arrest. Johnson's life continued to spiral out of control following his release from jail. In 2006, he was arrested for the sexual assault of an 8-year-old girl. He was convicted of the crime and sentenced to life in prison. Johnson died in prison in 2020 at the age of 65. He had been serving a life sentence for the sexual assault of an 8-year-old girl. Johnson's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of drug use and sexual assault. He made mistakes that cost him his career, freedom, and his life. Fifth on the list is Draymond Green. Green was arrested for assault after he punched a man in the face during an altercation at the parking garage. He was later charged with misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct after allegedly slapping a Michigan State University football player named Jermaine Edmondson at a restaurant on July 2016. Green was released on a $200 bond and later reached a plea agreement in which he pleaded guilty to a noise violation. He was fined $560 and ordered to stay away from the victim for 1 year. Green's arrest was a major distraction for the Golden State Warriors, who were preparing for the NBA Finals at that time. However, the team went on to win the championship and Green was named Finals MVP. Green has since apologized for the incident, and he said that he has learned from his mistake. He also said that he is committed to being a positive role model for young people. At number 4 is Jason Kidd. Kidd was arrested for spousal abuse after he allegedly punched his wife in the face. He was later sentenced to 2 years of probation and counseling. In January 2001, Jason Kidd, who was playing for the Phoenix Suns at that time, was arrested and charged with domestic abuse against his then-wife. According to reports, an argument between the couple escalated into a physical altercation at their home in Arizona. The incident raised significant public attention and led to a legal process. Jason Kidd was ultimately charged with misdemeanor domestic abuse and pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of spousal abuse in March 2001. He was sentenced to probation, counseling, and community service. In addition, the NBA also imposed a fine on Kidd. At the third spot is Sam Cassell. Cassell was arrested for assault after he allegedly punched a man in the face during an altercation at a nightclub. He was later charged with misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct. The arrest was a rare blemish on Cassell's otherwise stellar career. He was a 15-year NBA veteran who was known for his fiery personality and his clutch play. He won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics in 2008. Cassell retired from the NBA in 2012, and he is now a successful businessman and a coach in the NBA G League. Top 2 is Richard Jefferson. A former NBA player who was arrested in Minnesota in January 2013 on charges of fifth-degree assault. He was accused of choking a man at the hotel bar. Jefferson was released on bail and pleaded not guilty to the charges. He was eventually found guilty and sentenced to 10 days in jail, which he served on weekends. He was also ordered to pay a fine and complete anger management classes. Jefferson's arrest was a major setback in his career. He was suspended by the NBA for 10 games and lost his starting job with the Brooklyn Nets. He later apologized for the incident and said that he had learned from his mistake. The top 1 NBA player who got arrested is Oliver Miller. Miller was arrested for drug possession in 1995 after he was found with cocaine in his car. He was later convicted of drug possession and sentenced to 1 year in jail. He was arrested in April 2011 on charges of first and second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, possessing a handgun, using a handgun in a violent crime, possessing a handgun in a vehicle, and disorderly conduct. He was accused of pistol whipping a man during an altercation at a barbecue cookout in Arnold, Maryland. Miller was released on bail and pleaded guilty to first-degree assault and possessing a handgun. He was sentenced on February 2012 to a year in the Anne Arundel County Jail, followed by 5 years of probation. Miller's arrest was a major setback in his life. He had been out of the NBA for several years at the time, and the arrest made it even more difficult for him to find work. He also lost his reputation as a role model for young people. This is just some of the many NBA players who have been arrested over the years. It is important to note that not all of these arrests were for serious crimes. Some of the players were arrested for minor offenses such as drug possession or disorderly conduct. However, even minor arrests can damage a player's reputation and career. And that wraps up our video on the NBA players who were found against the law. We hope you find this insightful and thought-provoking. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all things basketball. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.